The strap of her heel snapped 3 steps from the crosswalk. Maya Chen caught herself against a parking meter, her laptop bag swinging forward and cracking against her hip. The light changed. Bodies flowed around her, shoulders, elbows, the sharp edge of a briefcase catching her arm. She hopped once, twice, pulled the broken shoe off her foot. The concrete was wet. Cold seeped through her stocking immediately. 40 minutes until the interview. She shoved the broken heel into her bag and limped toward the nearest storefront. A coffee shop. The awning dripped onto her shoulder as she ducked under it. Inside, the line wrapped around the counter. She pressed herself against the window, balancing on one foot while she dug through her bag for the backup flats she'd packed 3 days ago and never unpacked. Gone. She'd taken them out to make room for the portfolio prints. Her phone buzzed. Text from her mother. "Good luck today. Your father says don't forget to smile." Maya shoved the phone back into her pocket without answering. The coffee shop door opened behind her. A man in a dark coat stepped past, close enough that she caught the scent of something clean and sharp, not cologne, something else. He didn't look at her, moved directly to the front of the line where a barista materialized from nowhere to take his order. Maya watched this happen. No one in line protested. No one shifted. The man spoke quietly, and the barista nodded twice, then disappeared into the back. A woman appeared at the man's elbow, black suit, earpiece, hands folded in front of her. She positioned herself between him and the rest of the room. Maya turned back to the window. Rain streaked the glass. Across the street, a black SUV idled at the curb. Another woman stood beside it, watching the coffee shop entrance. The man collected a paper cup from the counter. He turned, and for a moment his gaze passed over Maya, over her wet stocking, her broken heel clutched in one hand, her laptop bag hanging crooked off her shoulder. He looked away, walked toward the door, stopped. Maya felt the pause before she understood it. She was still pressed against the window, still balanced awkwardly on one foot, still dripping onto the floor. The man stood 3 feet away, his back to her, his hand on the door. "There's a shoe store," he said, "half a block north. They open early." He pushed through the door and was gone. Maya stared at the space where he'd been. The barista called out someone's name. The line shuffled forward. Outside, the man crossed toward the waiting SUV. The woman opened the rear door. He ducked inside without looking back. Maya hobbled to the door and pushed it open. Rain hit her face. She turned north. The shoe store was called Marchetti's. The window display held 3 pairs of heels on velvet pedestals, each lit from below. No prices visible. Maya's reflection stared back at her. Wet hair plastered to her forehead, mascara smudged under one eye, one shoe on, one shoe off. She pushed the door open anyway. Inside, the carpet was thick enough to swallow sound. A woman in a cream blazer looked up from behind a glass counter. Her eyes moved from Maya's face to her feet. Her expression didn't change. "I need black heels," Maya said. 2-inch, size 7. Something I can walk in. "Of course." The woman came around the counter. "Please, sit." Maya sank onto a white leather bench. Her wet stocking left a dark print on the cushion. The woman disappeared through a curtain at the back of the store. Maya pulled out her phone. 28 minutes until the interview. The address was 6 blocks south. She could make it. She could still make it. The curtain rustled. The woman returned, carrying 3 boxes stacked in her arms. "These just arrived this morning," she said. "Italian leather. Very comfortable." She knelt and slid the first pair onto Maya's feet before Maya could respond. The leather was soft. The heel was exactly 2 inches. Maya stood, took 3 steps across the carpet. Her reflection moved in a full-length mirror beside the counter. "I'll take them," she said. "How much?" The woman smiled. "They've been paid for." Maya's hand froze halfway to her wallet. "What?" "A gentleman called ahead. He described you quite accurately." The woman's smile didn't waver. He said to wish you luck with your interview. Maya stared at her. The rain is letting up, the woman added. You should go. Maya walked out of the store in shoes she hadn't paid for, bought by a man whose name she didn't know. The interview was on the 14th floor of a building made entirely of glass. Maya signed in at the security desk. A guard handed her a badge on a lanyard. She clipped it to her jacket and stepped into an elevator already occupied by a man in shirt sleeves and a woman carrying a stack of folders. The doors closed. Maya watched the numbers climb. 12, 13, 14. The doors opened onto a reception area with white walls and white furniture and a single orchid in a glass vase. A young man looked up from behind a curved desk. Maya Chen? Yes. Ms. Whitmore will be with you shortly. Please, have a seat. Maya sat on a white couch. She crossed her ankles. She uncrossed them. She pulled her portfolio from her bag and checked, for the 4th time, that the prints were in order. A door opened at the far end of the room. A woman walked out. Gray hair, sharp suit, reading glasses pushed up onto her forehead. She held a tablet in one hand and a pen in the other. Maya Chen. Not a question. I'm Patricia Whitmore. Come with me. Maya stood. Her new heels sank slightly into the carpet. She followed Patricia Whitmore through the door and down a corridor lined with framed photographs, buildings, bridges, interiors, all in black and white. Patricia Whitmore stopped at a glass-walled conference room. Inside, 3 people sat at a long table. 2 women, 1 man. Water glasses arranged at precise intervals, a projector humming quietly at the far end. Your portfolio was impressive, Patricia Whitmore said. But portfolios are static. We want to see how you think in real time. She opened the door. You have 15 minutes to present a design solution for the lobby of this building. The current layout wastes 40% of the floor space. Fix it. Maya stepped into the room. The door closed behind her. 11 minutes later, Maya stood at the head of the table with a dry erase marker in her hand, and her design sketched across a whiteboard. The 3 interviewers watched without expression. The central pillar is structural, Maya said. You can't remove it, but you can wrap it. She drew a curved line around the pillar sketch. Seating on one side, greenery on the other. The pillar becomes a destination instead of an obstacle. The man at the table leaned forward. And the traffic flow? 2 entry points instead of 3. You lose 1 door, but you gain 60% more usable floor space. The current layout forces everyone through a bottleneck at the security desk. Move the desk here. She tapped the board, and the bottleneck disappears. Silence. The door opened. Patricia Whitmore stepped inside. Time, she said. Maya set down the marker. We'll be in touch, Patricia Whitmore said. Leave your contact information with reception. Maya gathered her bag. She walked out of the conference room and down the corridor and past the orchid and into the elevator. The doors closed. She exhaled. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She let it go to voicemail. The elevator reached the lobby. Maya stepped out, crossed the marble floor, pushed through the glass doors into the afternoon air. The rain had stopped. Sunlight broke through the clouds and hit the wet pavement, turning everything bright and sharp. Her phone buzzed again. Same number. She answered. Ms. Chen. A woman's voice. Calm, professional. Please hold for Mr. Ashford. A click, a pause, then a man's voice. Quiet, unhurried. The same voice from the coffee shop. You presented well. Maya stopped walking. How do you know that? I own the building. She turned and looked up at 14 floors of glass. The shoes fit? He asked. Yes. Good. A pause. Have dinner with me tonight. I don't know you. My name is Daniel Ashford. I'm 41 years old. I was born in Connecticut. I don't like shellfish or small talk. I'll send a car at 7. The line went dead. Maya stood on the sidewalk, holding her phone, staring at a building she'd just walked out of. Her reflection stared back from the glass. The car arrived at 6:58. Maya watched it from her apartment window, a black sedan that pulled to the curb and waited, engine running, taillights glowing red in the early dark. She hadn't decided yet. She'd spent the afternoon pacing her small living room, her laptop open on the coffee table, searching for information she already knew she'd find. Daniel Ashford. Real estate. Development. Buildings in 12 cities. A face that appeared in photographs but rarely in interviews. No social media, no scandals, no wife. Her phone sat on the kitchen counter where she'd left it. It hadn't rung again. 6:59. Maya looked at her reflection in the window glass. She'd changed twice, settled on a black dress she'd bought 3 years ago for a gallery opening she'd never attended. Simple. Fitted. Nothing that tried too hard. The car didn't honk, didn't flash its lights, just waited. Maya grabbed her coat and her keys and walked out the door. The driver was a woman with short gray hair and a calm, unreadable expression. She opened the rear door as Maya approached. "Ms. Chen." Maya slid into the back seat. The leather was cool and soft. The door closed with a solid thunk. The car pulled away from the curb. "Where are we going?" Maya asked. "Mr. Ashford is waiting at Maison Lumiere," the driver said. "Approximately 12 minutes." Maya looked out the window. The city slid past, storefronts, pedestrians, the glow of street lights on wet pavement. Her phone buzzed. Text from her sister. "Mom says you had an interview today. How'd it go?" Maya typed back, "Fine. Talk later." She put the phone away. The car turned onto a quieter street. Older buildings, trees with bare branches, a restaurant with a small awning and no visible sign. The car stopped. The driver opened Maya's door. "Mr. Ashford is inside." Maya stepped onto the sidewalk. The restaurant's windows were frosted. She could see shapes moving inside, but no details. She pushed open the door. The interior was dim and warm. Candles on every table. Dark wood, white tablecloths, the quiet murmur of conversation. A man in a black suit approached immediately. "Ms. Chen, this way, please." He led her through the main dining room, past tables of couples and small groups, toward a door at the back. He opened it. A private room, smaller, 1 table, 2 chairs. Daniel Ashford standing beside the window with a glass in his hand. He turned when she entered. "You came. You sent a car." His mouth moved slightly, not quite a smile. "Sit, please." Maya took the chair facing the door, a habit from years of her father's warnings. "Always know your exit." Daniel sat across from her. He set his glass down. Amber liquid, no ice. His hands were large, his fingers long. No rings. "Are you hungry?" he asked. "Should I be?" "The chef here is exceptional. I asked him to prepare something simple. If you'd prefer to order..." "Simple is fine." He nodded, lifted a hand slightly. A waiter appeared, set down 2 small plates, and vanished. Maya looked at her plate. Some kind of salad. Greens she didn't recognize. A thin shaving of cheese. A drizzle of oil. "You're an architect," Daniel said. "You already knew that." "I know you graduated from Columbia. I know you worked at Foster and Marsh for 2 years before they let you go during the downturn. I know you've been freelancing since, picking up small commercial jobs while you wait for something bigger." He picked up his fork. "What I don't know is why you were standing in a coffee shop at 7 in the morning with a broken shoe." Maya took a bite of salad. Chewed, swallowed. "Because my heel snapped on the sidewalk," she said, "and I was trying to figure out what to do. Most people would have gone home. I had an interview. At a firm that's been trying to hire someone for 8 months, they've rejected 43 candidates." He set his fork down. "They won't reject you." Maya looked at him. "How do you know?" "Because I told Patricia to hire you." The words landed between them like a dropped glass. Maya didn't move. You'll get an offer tomorrow, Daniel continued. Corner office, full benefits, a salary significantly higher than industry standard, all because I made a phone call. Why? Because I wanted to have dinner with you. And I thought you might not say yes if you thought I was just a stranger in a coffee shop. Maya pushed her chair back. So, you bought me. I bought you shoes, the job you earned. He didn't move, didn't reach for her. I watched the interview. Your solution was better than anything my architects proposed in 6 months of meetings. Patricia wanted to hire you before you finished speaking. But you made the call anyway. I made sure she'd make the offer quickly, before someone else did. Maya stood. Sit down, Daniel said. Not a command. Quieter. Almost a request. Please. She didn't sit. I've been watching that building's lobby for 2 years, he said. Watching people bump into each other, crowd through doors, waste their mornings navigating bad design. I hired 3 firms. None of them saw what you saw in 11 minutes with a whiteboard marker. He looked up at her. I'm not trying to buy you. I'm trying to understand how someone I've never met solved a problem I've been staring at for years. Maya's hand rested on the back of her chair. The pillar, she said. What about it? Everyone else tried to hide it. Build around it. Pretend it wasn't there. She pulled her chair back in. Sat down. But it's structural. It's load-bearing. You can't pretend away something that holds up the whole building. So you make it the center instead of the obstacle. Daniel watched her. You turn the problem into the solution, she said. He lifted his glass. Drank. Set it down. I want to hire you, he said. Not through Patricia. Not through any firm. Directly. I have a project. A building that's been stalled for 3 years because no one can figure out how to make it work. I want you to look at it. What building? The Ashford Tower, downtown, 60 floors. Construction stopped at 28 because the foundation shifted. Everyone says tear it down, start over. What do you say? I say there has to be another way. He leaned forward. I say I need someone who can look at a problem and see what isn't there yet. Maya looked at him, at his steady eyes, his still hands, the way he waited without fidgeting, without filling the silence. One meeting, she said. I'll look at the site. I'll look at the plans. If there's a solution, I'll find it. If there isn't, I'll tell you. And dinner? This is dinner. That almost smile again. I meant again. Tomorrow night. Let me see the building first. He nodded, lifted his hand. The waiter reappeared. We're ready for the main course, Daniel said. The car took her home at 11. Maya sat in the back seat and watched the city pass by. The same streets, the same lights, everything familiar and strange at once. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number again. She answered. Tomorrow, Daniel's voice said. 10 a.m., I'll have someone pick you up. I can find my own way. I know you can. A pause. But let me do this. It's a complicated site. You'll want a guide. Fine. Good night, Maya Chen. The line went dead. Maya leaned her head against the window. The car turned onto her street, pulled to the curb. The driver opened her door. Maya stepped out. The night air was cold against her face. She walked to her building's entrance, typed in the code, pushed through the door. The lobby was empty. Her footsteps echoed on the tile floor. She was halfway to the elevator when she saw him, a man standing near the mailboxes. Dark hair, familiar stance, hands in his pockets. He turned. Maya's chest went tight. Hey, Maya. Her ex-boyfriend smiled. Jason Mercer hadn't changed. Same crooked smile. Same way of tilting his head when he looked at her. Same leather jacket he'd been wearing the night they met, 4 years ago, at a rooftop party in Brooklyn. Maya's hand found the wall beside her. I called, Jason said. You didn't answer. I changed my number. I know. Took me a while to find this place. He stepped closer. 1 step, Then another. You look good. Maya didn't move. What do you want, Jason? To talk, that's all. He held up his hands. Just talk. It's 11 at night. You were out late. His eyes flicked toward the door, toward the street beyond. Nice car. Maya's jaw tightened. Can we go upstairs? Jason asked. 5 minutes, I promise. No. Maya. We broke up 8 months ago. Her voice was steady. She made it steady. You moved to Chicago. You said you needed space. You said, I know what I said. He dropped his hands. I was wrong. Maya stared at him. I've been thinking about you, Jason said. Every day, every night. I made a mistake. I know that now. I want... He stopped, swallowed. I want another chance. The lobby was silent. Somewhere above them, a door opened and closed. Footsteps on stairs. Then nothing. You should go, Maya said. Just hear me out. No. She pushed off from the wall, walked past him toward the elevator. Her hand found the button. She pressed it. Jason followed. Who was in the car? He asked. Maya didn't answer. Was it a date? The elevator doors opened. Maya stepped inside. Jason caught the door before it closed. I'm not giving up, he said. I came back for you. I left everything in Chicago, my job, my apartment, everything. I'm staying at the Marriott on 5th. Room 412. When you're ready to talk, you know where to find me. He let go of the door. The doors closed. Maya rode up alone. Her apartment was dark and quiet. She locked the door behind her, threw the deadbolt, attached the chain. Then she walked to the window and looked down at the street. Jason was still there, standing on the sidewalk, looking up. Maya stepped back. Her phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. I saw a man in your lobby. Are you all right? She typed back. Who is this? Daniel. My driver reported it. Maya stared at the phone. Another text. I can send someone if you need. She typed, I'm fine, it's handled. A pause. Then, if that changes, call. Maya set the phone on the counter. She walked back to the window. Jason was gone. She didn't sleep. She lay in bed and stared at the ceiling and listened to the sounds of the building. Pipes settling, neighbors moving, the distant rumble of the city that never quite stopped. At 3 a.m., she got up and made tea. At 4, she opened her laptop and pulled up the Ashford Tower files she'd downloaded earlier. 60 floors of architectural plans, engineering reports, foundation assessments. The problem was clear, even at a glance. The original foundation had been designed for bedrock that wasn't where the surveys said it would be. Construction had revealed a layer of clay 20 feet deeper than expected. The whole building was settling unevenly. Half an inch on the east side, nothing on the west. Half an inch didn't sound like much, but at 60 floors it meant doors that wouldn't close, windows that cracked, elevators that jammed. Maya scrolled through the reports. Tear it down. Start over. That was the consensus. 18 separate engineering firms had come to the same conclusion, but Daniel Ashford hadn't torn it down. He'd stopped construction at 28 floors and left it standing. A half-finished skeleton against the skyline, cranes still mounted on the upper floors, covered in tarps and weather sheeting. Why? Maya zoomed in on the foundation plans. Something caught her eye. A notation in the corner. She enlarged it. Alternative foundation system proposed. Rejected. She clicked through to the attached file. A name she didn't recognize. A proposal she'd never seen. A solution that involved driving new piles through the existing foundation and anchoring them to bedrock at a different angle. It had been rejected because of cost. The estimate was $300 million more than starting over. Maya looked at the plans. Then she opened a new document and started sketching. The car arrived at 9:45. Maya was waiting on the sidewalk, her laptop bag over her shoulder, a paper cup of coffee in her hand. She'd showered, dressed, put on makeup for the first time in weeks. The circles under her eyes were hidden, if not gone. The driver opened the door. Same woman as the night before. "Good morning, Ms. Chen." Maya slid into the back seat. This time, Daniel was waiting inside. "You didn't sleep," he said. "How can you tell?" "Your coffee." He nodded at her cup. "Black. No sugar. That's a fourth cup at least." Maya set the cup in a holder. "I found something. In your files." Daniel's expression didn't change. "Tell me." "The alternative foundation proposal. The one that got rejected." "I remember it. The cost was prohibitive." "The cost was based on the wrong assumption." Maya opened her laptop, balanced it on her knees. "The engineer proposed driving piles straight down through the existing foundation. That's expensive because you're fighting the clay layer the whole way. But if you angle the piles, come in from the side instead of straight down, you can bypass the clay entirely. Anchor to the bedrock at 40 degrees instead of 90. Daniel leaned forward to look at the screen. "You'd still need new piles," he said. "Fewer of them. And shorter. The bedrock is actually closer on the east side. That's why the building is settling unevenly. The engineers saw it as a problem, but it's actually an advantage. You can anchor the east side faster and cheaper, then use that stability to correct the west side." Daniel was quiet for a long moment. "How much?" he asked. "I'd need to run the numbers, but rough estimate. Maybe 100 million instead of 300. Maybe less." The car slowed, stopped. Maya looked out the window. The Ashford Tower rose against the gray sky. 28 floors of steel and glass and exposed concrete, wrapped in plastic sheeting that snapped in the wind. "Let's go see it," Daniel said. The construction site was a maze of chain-link fencing, equipment containers, and warning signs. Daniel led her through a gate where a guard checked IDs and handed them hard hats. A man in a safety vest met them on the other side, introduced himself as Frank, the site foreman, been there since day one. "Watch your step," Frank said. "Ground's uneven here." They walked across packed dirt and broken concrete. Ahead, the tower's base disappeared into a pit, an excavation that should have been filled in years ago, now half flooded with rainwater. Maya stopped at the edge. "The original foundation's down there?" she asked. Frank nodded. "What's left of it? We poured about 60% before we realized the problem." Maya looked down. The concrete was cracked in places. She could see the steel rebar poking through like bones. "I want to go down," she said. Frank glanced at Daniel. Daniel nodded. They took a service elevator, a temporary cage that rattled and groaned as it descended. Maya held the rail and watched the walls of the pit rise around them. Layers of dirt and clay and rock, exposed like a cross-section of the earth itself. The elevator stopped. They stepped out onto a metal platform suspended above the water. "Original foundation's about 12 feet down," Frank said. "We pumped it out a few times, but it just fills back up." Maya crouched at the edge of the platform. She pulled out her phone and activated the flashlight, shining it down into the murky water. "Can you get me a sonar survey?" she asked. "I need to see exactly where the bedrock is. Not the old surveys, new ones. Multiple points across the entire footprint." Frank looked at Daniel again. "Whatever she needs," Daniel said. Maya stood. "And I want to talk to the engineer who proposed the alternative foundation, the one who got rejected." "He left the company," Frank said. "Went private. I think he's in Seattle now." "Find him," Maya said. "I need to know what he saw that everyone else missed." She turned to Daniel. "This can work," she said. "I know it can. But I need time and resources and access to everything, every report, every survey, every piece of data you have." Daniel watched her. His face was unreadable. "You have it," he said. They had lunch in a trailer at the edge of the site, sandwiches from a deli down the street, eaten standing up at a fold-out table covered in blueprints. Maya spread out her laptop and walked Daniel through her calculations. He asked questions, good ones, technical ones, the kind that showed he understood more than most clients. At 2 o'clock her phone buzzed, unknown number. She rejected the call. It buzzed again, same number. Daniel noticed. Do you need to take that? No. The phone buzzed a third time. Maya silenced it and shoved it into her pocket. Ex-boyfriend, she said, not looking at him. He showed up last night. I don't know how he found my address. Daniel's expression shifted, just slightly, a tightening around the eyes. The man in the lobby? Yes. Is he going to be a problem? Maya looked up. I don't know. Daniel was quiet for a moment. Then he pulled out his own phone and typed something. What are you doing? Maya asked, making sure he won't be. I know you don't need it. He put the phone away. But you have it anyway. If he shows up again, anywhere, you tell me. Understood? Maya wanted to argue, wanted to say she could handle it herself, had been handling things herself for years, but something in his voice stopped her. Understood, she said. The afternoon stretched into evening. Maya stayed at the site until the light failed, poring over documents in the trailer, making calls, sketching new designs on paper napkins when she ran out of space on her laptop. At 7, Frank knocked on the trailer door. Ms. Chen, Mr. Ashford asked me to tell you, there's a car waiting. Maya looked up. Her neck ached. Her eyes burned. Where is he? He left an hour ago, had meetings. But he said... Frank looked uncomfortable. He said you should eat something. And sleep. Said to tell you the building's not going anywhere. Maya laughed, a short, surprised sound. Fine, she said. Tell the car I'll be out in 5. The car took her home. Different driver this time. A young man with broad shoulders and a military haircut. He walked her to the lobby door, waited until she was inside. The lobby was empty. Maya rode the elevator up, walked down the hall to her apartment, unlocked the door. Something was wrong. She felt it before she saw it. A displacement in the air, a wrongness she couldn't name. She pushed the door open. Her apartment had been ransacked, drawers pulled out, cushions overturned, papers scattered across the floor, and on the kitchen counter where she'd left her laptop that morning, nothing. Maya stood in the doorway, her hand on the frame. Her phone buzzed. Text from Jason. We need to talk. I have something of yours. Maya didn't call the police. She called Daniel. He answered on the first ring. What's wrong? He broke into my apartment. He took my laptop. Silence on the other end. Then, stay where you are. Don't touch anything. I'm sending someone. The line went dead. Maya stood in her ruined living room and waited. 10 minutes later, a knock at the door. She looked through the peephole. The driver from earlier, the one with the military haircut. She opened the door. Ms. Chen. He stepped inside, scanned the room with professional efficiency. Anyone else in the building? I don't know. He pulled out a phone, spoke quietly into it. Then, Mr. Ashford wants you to come with me. He has a secure location. I'm not leaving. Ma'am, my work was on that laptop. Maya's voice cracked. She steadied it. 3 years of designs, everything I've done since the firm let me go. The Ashford Tower calculations, all of it. The driver, his name tag said Reynolds, watched her. I understand, he said. But right now, the priority is your safety. Mr. Ashford will handle the rest. Handle it how? Reynolds didn't answer. The secure location turned out to be Daniel's apartment. Not an apartment, a penthouse. The entire top floor of a building Maya didn't recognize, accessed by a private elevator that required a key card and a fingerprint scan. The doors opened onto a space that shouldn't exist in Manhattan. Vast, open, filled with art and leather furniture and windows that looked out over the city like it was a painting. Daniel was waiting. He'd changed clothes, dark jeans, a gray sweater, no tie. Less polished than she'd seen him. more human. "Are you hurt?" he asked. "No." "Good." He turned to Reynolds. "The apartment?" "Compromised. I've got 2 men there now, documenting everything. NYPD will want to be involved eventually, but we can delay that if she wants." "She wants," Maya said. Daniel looked at her. "If I call the police, they'll want to know why my ex-boyfriend broke into my apartment. They'll want to question me, document everything, and Jason—" She stopped, took a breath. "Jason will play the victim. He's good at that. He'll say we had a fight, say I'm exaggerating, say he just wanted his stuff back. He'll make me sound crazy, and the laptop will disappear, and I'll be tied up in police reports for weeks while he destroys everything I've worked for. Why would he do that? Because he's angry. Because I moved on. Because—" Maya walked to the window, looked out at the city. "Because 3 years ago, I caught him stealing from me. Designs, client contacts. He was copying my work and passing it off as his own at the firm where he worked. When I confronted him, he said I should be flattered. Said imitation was the sincerest form of flattery. That's why you broke up. That's why I reported him. To his firm. To mine. To everyone I could think of." Maya's reflection stared back at her from the glass. "He lost his job. His reputation. He blamed me. Said I ruined his life over a misunderstanding. And now he's back. Now he has my laptop." Maya turned. "Everything I showed you today, every calculation, every sketch, every piece of the solution, it's all on that laptop." Daniel crossed the room toward her, stopped 3 feet away. "We'll get it back," he said. "How?" "Leave that to me." "No." Maya shook her head. "I need to know. I need to be part of this." Daniel studied her for a long moment. "He's at the Marriott on 5th, he said. Room 412. He told you himself. He could have moved." "He hasn't. We've been tracking him since this morning." Maya stared. "Since when?" "Since you told me about him. In the car. I had Reynolds put someone on him as a precaution." Daniel's expression was unreadable. "The man who broke into your apartment left fingerprints. Showed up on camera in your building's lobby at 3:47 this afternoon. Stayed for 22 minutes. Left with a laptop bag. You already knew." "I knew when I called you. Reynolds called me 30 seconds before you did." Maya's hands curled into fists at her sides. "Then why did you let me come here? Why not just—" "Because you needed to tell me yourself. Because this has to be a your decision." Daniel stepped closer. Close enough that she could see the faint lines at the corners of his eyes. "I can make this go away. Tonight. The laptop will be in your hands by morning, and Jason Mercer will be on a plane to somewhere very far away, with a clear understanding that he's never to contact you again. And if I say no? Then we call the police, file a report, go through the system. Let the lawyers handle it." A pause. "It's your choice, Maya. I'm not going to make it for you." Maya looked at him. At this man she'd met 2 days ago, who bought her shoes and offered her a job and somehow became the center of a storm she hadn't seen coming. "What happens to him?" she asked. "If you make it go away?" "He gets a new life, a new city, enough money to start over, and a promise that if he ever comes near you again, the consequences will be severe." "That's not punishment." "No, it's removal." Daniel's voice was calm. "Punishment doesn't protect you. Removal does." Maya closed her eyes. She thought about the night she'd found Jason's files on his computer, the sick feeling in her stomach as she'd scrolled through her own work with his name on it. The way he'd laughed when she confronted him, actually laughed, like she was overreacting, like she should be grateful he'd noticed her work at all. She thought about the months afterward. The whispers. The depositions. The way some people at the firm had looked at her like she was the troublemaker. She thought about rebuilding. Slowly. Painfully. Every client she'd found on her own, every project she'd scraped together, every late night in her tiny apartment with nothing but her laptop and her determination. And now, Jason had taken even that. "Make it go away," she said. It happened fast. Reynolds made calls. Daniel made more. By midnight, Maya was sitting in the penthouse living room with a glass of wine she hadn't asked for, watching the city lights blur through the window. At 12:47, Reynolds returned. He handed Maya her laptop. "Intact," he said. "Nothing erased. We checked." Maya opened it. Her files were there, all of them. The Ashford Tower calculations, her portfolio, everything. "Where is he?" she asked. "On his way to the airport. Private plane. One-way ticket to Buenos Aires. He has a bank account with 6 figures in it and a clear set of instructions." Reynolds glanced at Daniel. "He won't be a problem." Maya closed the laptop. "Thank you," she said. To Reynolds, to Daniel, to the room. "You should sleep," Daniel said. "The guest room is down the hall. Take whatever you need." "I should go home." "Your apartment isn't safe." "Not tonight. Reynolds has people there, but—" He stopped. "Stay, please." Maya looked at him. The man who'd bought her shoes, who'd given her a job, who'd dismantled her ex-boyfriend's life in a matter of hours, with a handful of phone calls and an expression that never changed. "One night," she said. The guest room was bigger than her entire apartment. Maya lay on a bed that probably cost more than her car and stared at the ceiling and tried to understand what had happened to her life. 2 days ago, she'd been standing in a coffee shop with a broken heel. Now she was sleeping in a billionaire's penthouse with a job offer she hadn't officially accepted and an ex-boyfriend on a plane to South America. Her phone buzzed. Text from her sister. "You never called back. Everything okay?" Maya typed, "Everything's fine. Talk tomorrow." She put the phone on the nightstand, closed her eyes, didn't dream. She woke to sunlight and the smell of coffee. For a moment, she didn't know where she was. The room was wrong. Too big, too quiet, too clean. Then it came back. Maya sat up. Her clothes from yesterday were folded on a chair by the door. Someone had laundered them. She dressed quickly, walked out into the hall. Daniel was in the kitchen, standing at a marble island with a tablet in one hand and a coffee cup in the other. He looked up when she entered. "Good morning." "Morning." Maya accepted the coffee he poured for her. "You laundered my clothes." "The staff did. I hope you don't mind." "Staff?" Maya looked around. The penthouse was empty except for them. "Where?" "They come early. Leave before I wake up." Daniel set his tablet down. "Are you hungry?" "Not really. You should eat anyway." He walked to the refrigerator. "We have a long day ahead." Maya leaned against the counter. "What's happening today?" "Site visit at 10. Meeting with the original engineer at 2. He's flying in from Seattle. And at 6, a dinner with my investors. They want to hear about the new foundation proposal. You want me there? At the investor dinner? I want you to present." Daniel pulled ingredients from the refrigerator. Eggs, vegetables, cheese. "The calculations were your work. The solution was your idea. You should be the one to explain it." Maya watched him crack eggs into a bowl. His movements were efficient, practiced. "You cook," she said. "I live alone." He whisked the eggs. "It was learn to cook or starve. You could hire someone." "I have. I don't always want them here." He poured the eggs into a pan. "Sometimes I want to be alone." Maya sipped her coffee. "The investors," she said. "What do I need to know?" "There are 3 of them. Margaret Chen, no relation to you. She's the cautious one. Wants data, projections, worst-case scenarios. Robert Vance is the opposite. He'll like the boldness of the approach, but he'll want to know you can handle the pressure, and Victor Drazic is—" Daniel paused. "Victor is complicated." Complicated how? He doesn't trust easily, doesn't like new people, doesn't respond well to enthusiasm or salesmanship. Daniel plated the omelet, slid it across the counter to her. Be direct with him. Don't oversell. If he asks a question you can't answer, say so. Maya picked up a fork. Why are you telling me this? Because I want you to succeed. You barely know me. Daniel looked at her, held her gaze for a long moment. I know enough, he said. The site visit was intense. Maya spent 3 hours in the pit with Frank and 2 structural engineers, reviewing the sonar surveys that had come in overnight. The bedrock was where she'd predicted, closer on the east side, deeper on the west, but accessible at the angles she'd calculated. At noon, she climbed out of the pit with dirt on her shoes and concrete dust in her hair. Daniel was waiting at the trailer with sandwiches and water. Well, he asked, it's going to work. Maya grabbed a water bottle, drank half of it in one go. The new surveys confirm it. We can anchor the east side with 8 piles instead of 20. Once that's stable, we correct the west with another 12. Total cost, maybe 80 million. Less than I originally thought. Daniel's expression shifted. Something that wasn't quite a smile. The engineer lands in an hour, he said. You should clean up. The engineer's name was Paul Weston. He was older than Maya had expected, 65, gray-bearded, with the weathered look of someone who'd spent years on construction sites. He shook her hand with a grip that was firm but not aggressive. So you're the one who dug up my old proposal, he said. It was buried. Why? Because it would have worked. Paul sat down at the conference table Daniel had set up in the trailer. And when something works but costs too much, people don't want to hear about it. Easier to say, start over, than to explain why the expensive solution is the right one. Maya spread her calculations across the table. I modified your approach, angled piles instead of vertical. Paul leaned forward, studied the diagrams. His eyebrows rose. You're bypassing the clay layer entirely. Yes. He stopped, pulled out a pair of reading glasses, looked again. That's clever. I didn't think of that. You saw the problem. I just found a different angle. Maya pointed to the east side of the foundation. The bedrock here is closer than anyone realized. Your original surveys were done from the west side only. The geology shifts across the footprint. Paul was quiet for a long moment. How old are you? He asked. 29. 29. He shook his head. When I was 29, I thought I knew everything. I was wrong. He looked at her. You might actually know something. The investor dinner was at a restaurant Maya had only ever seen in magazines. She wore a dress Daniel had sent over, a black sheath that fit perfectly with a note that said, for tonight, consider it a business expense. She'd almost refused, almost sent it back. But then she'd looked at her own closet, at the limited options she had for impressing people who moved in circles she'd never entered, and she'd put the dress on. It fit perfectly. The investors were waiting at a table in a private room. Margaret Chen was small and sharp-eyed, with silver hair cut close to her skull. Robert Vance was large and loud, with a booming laugh that filled the room. Victor Drazic was watching her. He was tall, thin, with pale eyes that seemed to take in everything while giving nothing away. He didn't stand when she entered, didn't smile, just watched. Ms. Chen, Margaret rose to shake her hand. Daniel speaks very highly of you. Thank you for meeting with me. Meeting with Daniel, Robert corrected, but he was smiling. We're always happy to meet with Daniel. The brilliant young architect is a bonus. Maya smiled back, didn't let it reach her eyes. They sat. They ate. They talked about things that didn't matter, the weather, the market, a mutual acquaintance who'd just bought a villa in Tuscany. Then, over dessert, Margaret leaned forward. So, this foundation solution of yours. Daniel says it will save us $200 million. Daniel is being conservative. Maya pulled out her tablet, the calculations she'd been refining all day. The new surveys show bedrock closer than originally mapped. We can anchor the east side with fewer piles than I initially estimated. Total cost is now projecting at $75 million, including contingencies. Ew. And the timeline? 14 months to resume construction. 24 months to completion after that. Margaret looked at Victor. Victor looked at Maya. You're very confident, he said. His voice was low, accented. Eastern European, Maya thought. For someone so young, so new. Confidence comes from data, Maya said. I have the data. Data can be wrong. Data can be incomplete. The original surveys were incomplete. That's why the foundation failed. Maya held his gaze. My surveys aren't incomplete. I've mapped every inch of that footprint. I know where the bedrock is. I know where the clay is. I know exactly how deep we need to go and at what angle. Victor didn't blink. And if you're wrong, then I'll tell you. Before it costs you anything. Maya set her tablet down. I'm not here to sell you on something I don't believe in. I'm here to solve a problem. If I can't solve it, I'll say so. Silence. Then Victor smiled. A small, sharp expression that transformed his face. I like her, he said to Daniel. She has backbone. Margaret was studying the calculations on Maya's tablet. These numbers are solid. Robert? Robert was grinning. I'm in. Let's build this damn thing. Daniel looked at Maya across the table. His expression was calm, unreadable, but something in his eyes. Then we have a deal, he said. 3 months later, Maya stood on the observation platform above the Ashford Tower construction site and watched the new piles being driven into the earth. The sound was deafening, a rhythmic pounding that shook the platform beneath her feet. Below, crews in hard hats moved with practiced efficiency, guiding the massive steel columns into position. 80 feet down, 40 degrees, anchored to bedrock, it was working. Maya checked her tablet, updated the progress log, made a note to call Paul Weston with the latest numbers. The old engineer had become a consultant on the project, unofficial at first, then official once the investors saw how well his expertise complemented Maya's vision. Her phone buzzed. Text from Daniel. Dinner tonight? 7 p.m.? She smiled. 8 p.m. I want to see them finish the east side. 8 p.m. then. I'll send a car. Maya put the phone away and went back to watching the construction. They'd been doing this for 2 months now. Dinners, late nights in his penthouse, talking about the project, about architecture, about everything and nothing. He'd kissed her for the first time in the elevator after a site visit. Quick, unexpected, almost shy. She'd kissed him back. They hadn't defined it, hadn't needed to. Whatever this was, it was happening. Maya descended from the platform at 7:45. Frank was waiting at the bottom. East side's done, he said. All 8 piles, anchored and set. I saw. Tomorrow we start on the west? First thing. Frank grinned. You should celebrate tonight. Maya smiled. I'm planning to. The car took her to a restaurant she'd never heard of. Small, quiet, tucked away on a side street in the village. Daniel was waiting at a corner table with a bottle of wine already open. East side's done, she said as she sat down. I know, Frank called. Of course he did. Maya accepted the glass he poured for her. Everything goes through you. Not everything. Daniel set the bottle down. You went around me twice this week. Once with the concrete supplier, once with the crane operator. They were being difficult. They were being expensive. You negotiated them down by 20%. He lifted his glass. I'm not complaining. They drank. They ate. They talked about things that had nothing to do with construction. Books, movies, childhood memories. Daniel told her about growing up in Connecticut, about a father who worked too much and a mother who tried too hard to compensate. Maya told him about her parents' restaurant in Queens, about learning to draw floor plans on napkins while waiting for the dinner rush to end. At 10 o'clock, they walked out onto the empty street. Daniel took her hand. "Come home with me," he said. Maya looked at him, at this man who'd changed her life in ways she was still trying to understand. "Yes," she said. She woke in his bed at 3 a.m. The penthouse was dark. Daniel was asleep beside her, his breathing slow and even. The city glittered beyond the windows. A million lights, a million lives, all of them invisible from here. Maya slipped out of bed, found her clothes, walked to the window. Her reflection stared back at her. A woman she barely recognized, confident, capable, changed. 6 months ago, she'd been standing in a coffee shop with a broken heel, wondering if her life would ever get better. Now, her phone buzzed. She'd left it on the nightstand. She crossed the room to check it. Text from an unknown number. International prefix. "You think you're safe. You're not." Maya's blood went cold. Another text. Rapid fire. "He can't protect you. No one can." And another. "I know where you are. I know what you're doing. I'm watching." Maya's hands shook. "Maya?" She turned. Daniel was sitting up in bed, his face concerned. "What's wrong?" She showed him the phone. Reynolds arrived within the hour. He stood in the penthouse living room with 3 other men, security specialists, Daniel said, and examined Maya's phone with clinical efficiency. "The number's routed through Argentina," he said, "but that doesn't mean anything. Could be bouncing through a dozen countries." "Jason," Maya said, "probably. We'll confirm." Reynolds looked at Daniel. "Sir, I recommend full protective detail. Starting now." "Do it." "I don't need," Maya started. "You do." Daniel's voice was firm. "Until we know what we're dealing with, you don't go anywhere without security. No arguments." Maya wanted to argue anyway, but the words on her phone kept echoing in her head. "I'm watching." "Fine," she said. The next 3 weeks were a blur of construction and caution. Maya went to the site every day, flanked by 2 of Reynolds's people. She ate meals in the trailer or in Daniel's penthouse. Nowhere public, nowhere predictable. She answered emails, took calls, managed the project with the same intensity she'd brought from day one. But something had shifted. She looked over her shoulder constantly, checked her phone 100 times a day, woke up at night to check the locks, even in Daniel's secure penthouse with its keycard access and fingerprint scans. Jason didn't send more messages. That was almost worse. The silence felt like a held breath. At the end of the 3rd week, Reynolds came to her with news. "We tracked the messages," he said. "Not to Argentina. To Brooklyn." Maya went still. "He's here?" "He never left. The plane to Buenos Aires landed, but Mercer wasn't on it. He bailed at the last minute, got off at the terminal, walked out a service exit." Reynolds's jaw was tight. "Our people didn't catch it. I'm sorry. Where is he now?" "Unknown, but we're looking." They found him the next day, or rather, he found them. Maya was at the site, reviewing the West Side Foundation progress when Frank's voice crackled over the radio. "Ms. Chen, there's someone at the gate, asking for you." Maya's heart stopped. "Who?" A pause. Then, "He says his name is Jason Mercer. Says you'll want to hear what he has to say." Reynolds wanted to call the police. Daniel wanted to have Jason removed by force. Maya wanted to know. "Let me talk to him," she said. "Absolutely not," Daniel said. "He's here, in the open, with witnesses." Maya gestured at the construction site around them. 50 workers, cameras, security personnel. "This is as safe as it gets." I want to know what he wants. Daniel's face was rigid. I don't like it. I'm not asking you to like it. A long moment. Then Daniel nodded at Reynolds. Bring him in. But my people stay close. They met in the trailer. Maya sat behind the desk. Jason stood by the door, Reynolds positioned behind him. 2 more security people waited outside. Jason had changed, thinner, older, a haunted look in his eyes that Maya didn't recognize. You look good, he said. The new life suits you. What do you want, Jason? He laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. What do I want? I want my life back, the one you took from me. I didn't take anything. You reported me. You destroyed my career. You sent me to... He stopped, took a breath. They put me on a plane to Argentina, with a bag of money and a warning, like I was garbage to be disposed of. That wasn't my idea. No, it was his. Jason's eyes flickered toward the door, toward where Daniel waited outside. Your new boyfriend. The billionaire who thinks he can buy anything, anyone. Maya didn't respond. But here's the thing, Jason continued. He can't. He can't buy me. He can't buy my silence. He can't buy... What do you want? Maya repeated. Specifically. Jason reached into his pocket. Reynolds tensed, hand moving to his hip. But Jason only pulled out a phone, an old one, scratched and battered. I have files, he said. Records. Emails between Daniel Ashford and his lawyers. Discussions about how to handle inconvenient people, how to make problems disappear. He set the phone on the desk. How much do you think the press would pay for that? Maya looked at the phone, then at Jason. You're blackmailing him. I'm protecting myself. There's a difference. Jason leaned forward. I don't want money. I don't want revenge. I want out. I want to start over, somewhere far away, without your boyfriend's people tracking my every move. That's it. That's all. And in exchange, these files never see the light of day, and you never hear from me again. Maya was quiet for a long moment. Then she picked up the phone. I'll talk to him, she said. Daniel was furious. He stood in the trailer after Jason was escorted away, his face dark with rage that Maya had never seen before. He's lying, Daniel said. Those files, whatever he claims to have, they don't exist. I've never discussed handling anyone with my lawyers. I believe you. Daniel stopped. You do? I know you. Maya set Jason's phone on the desk. But it doesn't matter what's on this phone. What matters is what people will believe when they see it. So we call the police. Turn him in. He broke into your apartment. He stalked you. And he'll spend 6 months in jail, maybe less. Then he'll get out and he'll be angrier and he'll have nothing left to lose. Maya shook her head. That's not a solution. That's a delay. Then what do you suggest? Maya looked out the trailer window, at the construction site, at the tower rising against the sky. 32 floors now, with more going up every week. Give him what he wants, she said. Maya, not the money. Not freedom from surveillance. She turned back to Daniel. Give him a way out that he can live with. A job somewhere. A real chance to start over. Make him feel like he won something. After everything he's done? Because of everything he's done. Maya stepped closer. He's desperate. Desperate people do desperate things. But if you take away the desperation, if you give him something to lose, he becomes predictable, manageable. Daniel stared at her. You want me to help the man who terrorized you. I want to never think about him again. Maya's voice was steady. This is how we make that happen. A long silence. Then Daniel exhaled. I'll make some calls, he said. It took a week to arrange. Jason got a job at an architecture firm in Melbourne. Not a partner position, not a leadership role, but something real, with a salary and benefits and a future. He got a visa, a plane ticket, and a bank account with enough money to get settled. In exchange, he handed over the phone. Let Reynolds's people sweep his apartment for any other files. Signed a non-disclosure agreement that would cost him everything if he ever spoke about any of it. Maya didn't see him again. The day he left, she was on the observation platform watching the West Side piles go in. Her phone buzzed. Text from Reynolds. He's on the plane. Wheels up in 20 minutes. Maya typed back, "Good." She put the phone away and went back to work. 6 months later, the Ashford Tower opened. It stood 60 floors tall, gleaming in the morning sun, a testament to engineering, persistence, and the stubbornness of two people who refused to accept that a problem couldn't be solved. Maya stood in the lobby she'd redesigned, watching people flow through the space. No bottleneck, no crowding. The central pillar wrapped in greenery, becoming a meeting point instead of an obstacle. Daniel appeared beside her. "Patricia Whitmore called," he said. "She wants to know if you're taking new clients." "What did you tell her?" "That you're very busy," he smiled, "but that you might have time for the right project." Maya looked around the lobby, at the people moving through it, at the space she'd created. "I might," she said. That night, Daniel took her to dinner at the restaurant where they'd first met with the investors. The same private room, the same corner table, but everything else had changed. "I have something for you," he said. He slid a small box across the table. Maya looked at it, looked at him. "Daniel, open it." She lifted the lid. Inside was a key. Simple, silver, attached to a leather fob. "That's the key to the penthouse," Daniel said. "The building office has been updated. Your name is on the lease." Maya stared at the key. "I'm not asking you to marry me," Daniel continued. "I'm not asking for anything you're not ready to give. But I want you to know that you have a place. With me. Whenever you want it." Maya picked up the key, held it in her palm. She thought about broken heels and coffee shops, about buildings that shouldn't stand and foundations that shifted, about problems that became solutions when you looked at them from the right angle. "I want to show you something," she said. She stood, took his hand, led him out of the restaurant and into the cool night air. They walked 3 blocks east. Maya stopped in front of a storefront with papered windows and a for lease sign. "This is mine," she said, "or it will be. I signed the papers yesterday." Daniel looked at the empty space. "What is it?" "My firm. Chen Architecture. I'm starting my own practice." She squeezed his hand. "I didn't tell you because I wanted to do it myself. Without your money, without your connections. Just me." Daniel was quiet for a moment. Then he smiled. "When do you open?" 3 months. I have a lot of work to do." "Need any help?" Maya thought about it, about all the times he'd offered to make things easier, to smooth the way, to use his resources to solve her problems. "No," she said. "But you can take me to dinner when I'm done." "Deal." He pulled her close. "Partners?" Maya looked at the empty storefront. Setio, the future, waiting inside. "Partners," she said. 1 year later, Maya stood on a street corner in Midtown, waiting for the light to change. It was early morning. The coffee shop behind her was crowded. Someone jostled her elbow. Someone else stepped on her foot. She didn't mind. Her phone buzzed. Text from her assistant. "The Nakamura presentation is ready. Conference room B at 10. Maya typed back, "On my way." The light changed. She stepped off the curb, her heels clicking on the pavement. The same heels she'd bought at Marchetti's 2 years ago, resoled twice now, still comfortable, still perfect. Across the street, a man emerged from a black SUV. Tall, dark coat, familiar. Daniel saw her and smiled. Maya walked toward him. "Good morning," he said. "Good morning." He fell into step beside her. They walked together toward the Ashford Tower, its 60 floors gleaming in the morning light. "Big day?" he asked. "Every day." Maya glanced at him. "You?" "I have a meeting with some architects. They want to show me a design for a new project, something ambitious." "Oh? What kind of project?" "A bridge." Daniel smiled. "They say it can't be built. The engineering is impossible. The geology is wrong." "What do you say?" "I say I know someone who's good at impossible." Maya laughed. They walked into the tower together. The lobby was bright, open, full of morning energy. People moved through the space Maya had designed, past the pillar she'd reimagined, toward elevators and offices and the start of another day. At the elevator bank, Daniel stopped. "Dinner tonight?" 8 o'clock. "I'll send a car." "I'll walk." He kissed her. Quick, simple. Then stepped into an elevator and was gone. Maya watched the doors close. Then she turned and walked back outside into the morning sunlight toward her own building 3 blocks away, where her name was on the door and her work was waiting. She had a presentation to give, clients to meet, a future to build, one moment at a time. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe to Mr. Douglas Tales, where powerful stories unfold one moment at a time.